Hello from last place and the basement where it kind of looks like I am right now, but where the Golden Knights actually are. We're in the basement. Um, Not good, as I put on that little banner, which should have been up there before, but I forgot to push the button. Not good. Just like starting a Periscope without the Conler and Associates banner, not good. Today, I guess, was the best the Golden Knights have played. I guess that's a positive. That's about it I've got for you. I've got some other positives with like individual players, but then I've got a whole bunch of negatives. I have a feeling that this is going to pop up quite a bit over the course of the next week or so. And that was saying fire Steve Spott. I'll get into that a little bit. Yeah, basement dwellers, not good. By the way, if you want to comment, Twitter doesn't allow comments anymore. Twitter and StreamYard are battering rams, hate each other. I don't know. It says it right in the corner. Learn more why you can't post comments from Twitter, and then you post it, and it doesn't tell you why. It just says you can't. So if you want to post a comment, get off of Twitter. Get on YouTube or Facebook, or maybe I'll make a Twitch. I don't know. I might make a Twitch. I don't know. I doubt it. I probably won't make a Twitch. I don't know. All I do know is that the Golden Knights kind of stink. This is not good. This is not good. That was not a good performance from Edmonton. Like, that was not an Edmonton team that was clicking. That was not a team that was really doing the types of things that got them to a 4-0 start, and now they're 5-0. The Golden Knights were better in this game than they have been in the past. You know, they had some moments in this game where you can be happy with some of the things that were going on. You know, obviously they're playing undermanned before the game, and then they're playing undermanned as the game goes on with the White Cloud injury. But to be completely honest, like, they've got to be better. They've got to be able to finish some of these chances. They have to be anything less than a complete and utter disaster on the power play. There's more guys that have to do a little bit more. I need the Shea Theodore that we've grown to love. Like, I need that guy. Haven't gotten him. We had it for the very last shift. I need Cox or AT&T or DirecTV or whatever to show the fucking game. Is that a thing? Like, I don't know what's going on there. What a mess that was. It cuts out in the third period. The Golden Knights score like 8 seconds later on the Hager bomb. And then, you know, the Hague pass, I'm sure most of you guys haven't even seen it. It's an exit pass out of the zone. He zips it across the ice all the way across for an opportunity that wasn't there. And it gets picked off, and it leads to a break, and Cassian, puts one between the legs of Leonard. Like, you give up breakaways, Leonard's going to give up goals. Like, that's not the goalie you're supposed to get. What you did get today is you got Leonard in a 5-on-3 against the most elite power play in the league, and he kept a bunch of them out. He did fairly well. He did what he needed to do. But, man, oh, man, like, the scoring, it seems like it's such a chuck and pray stuff. Like, get it down to the point, get it deep, and then work it back up to the point, and then just fling it on goal and hope someone tips it in. And today it happened twice, 2 times. And then the other goal is a shot from the high slot, basically. They win the draw. They work it off the draw. He works it into the middle. Haig's got a deceptively good shot. He rips one home. Like, are you relying on that? Are we back to Montreal, where if they're not scoring directly off the draw, they're not scoring? And the power plays, my God, what a mess. I'll get straight into this. Where's all the depth management claims we have? Well, they're missing like $25 million in players. So, like, I can't throw this all on the front office and say, like, you losers can't find a way. Like, that's just not right, because Stone's out, Pacioretty's out, Tuck's out, Martinez is out, Janmark was out, Carrier was out. It goes on and on and on. Howden was out, and Howden hasn't been very good. But now it looks like White Cloud's going to be out. That was not good news from what we heard from DeBoer after the game. He basically said, yeah, I don't have an update, but it wasn't good. I don't know what's going on there. But I mean, I think the main key of all of this, and like you can make excuses all you would like. Like there's no stopping the number of excuses that you can make. But the fact of the matter is the Golden Knights are 0 for 9 on the power play. They had a 1 minute and 43 or 141, something like that, 5-on-3. It was so long, I can't even add that high. And they got basically nothing out of the entire thing. Just horrible. And the 5-on-3 is basically all Misfits, Pietrangelo, and Theodore. So to sit here and act like, well, we're missing 4 power play guys. Well, yeah, okay, so half of your power play doesn't score. So then fine. If you're normally supposed to be operating at 17%, I'll give you half of it. Operate at 9%, 10%. Score every once in a goddamn while, not the last time being Colorado series. That's the last time they scored a power play. I think I had hair during that series. That's how long that was. Like, it's insane what's going on with their power play. And the problem is it just looks so miserable. They finally have an opportunity where they get a pass cross ice. Marchessault's skating in. Smith hits it behind him. And the puck banks off the wall, and Marchessault clears the zone himself. A lot of this is gripping the stick too hard, and a lot of this is in a situation where they are super aware of what's going on in their power play, and there's every single bit of frustration, and the crowd is not going to help that. Not that it's any of your fault. Don't think that. Like, definitely don't think that. It is certainly not your fault that you're booing. What a mess. By the way, Ryan Craig, to my knowledge, has not run the power play since the bubble. I'm like 99% sure he didn't run it all last season. I believe Steve Spott is the man in charge of the power play. However, I will tell you that I think they are running what Pete DeBoer wants. And if Pete DeBoer wants it, that's what they're going to try and do. So if you're going to pick somebody to blame, to me, it goes on the head coach. Does that mean they should fire Pete DeBoer? No. But do they need to make a complete massive overhaul of what they're doing? Abso-fucking-lutely they do. Like, there was a time in year 3 where the Golden Knights were struggling and D-zone coverage was an absolute mess. And randomly, they decided, you know what? We're going to stop chasing guys all over the zone. We're going to stop playing this man-to-man up style that we've played where everybody's got their own guy. They pick up their mark and they go with them everywhere they go. We're going to switch that up. We're going to play a little bit more of a zone. Defensemen are going to hand players off to forwards as they skate back up to the point. Forwards are going to stay out at the point and challenge the shots with the defensemen, get them out there. If they switch, we'll hand it off. That's what they did. It was a huge change. It worked for a short period of time. It got them all the way back into first place. And then they had a 4-game losing streak. They fired the coach, and the entire thing went to shit. In regards to that, actually, they went on to win a bunch more games after that. And I think DeBoer has done a pretty darn good job for when the situation he was put in. He immediately started helping them win. They get to the postseason. I think there's a huge issue with being able to score in the postseason. But as far as the regular season goes, this is the worst we've ever seen out of a DeBoer coach team. 1-3-0. Like, that's not that bad out of a DeBoer coach team. So to me, lopping the head off the coach is ridiculous at this point. Like, that makes absolutely no sense at all. Plus, the personnel that he's working with is certainly not good enough to think to do that. So I'm not ready to fire anybody. Like, I don't think anybody has to go at this point. You need some players to play better. You know, I think that going into this game, understanding that you're probably going to need a goal or 2 out of the misfit line and them to keep Connor McDavid from not getting his 2 points, it was probably unrealistic. You get the early power play goal against you. I didn't really like the penalty on Smith. That one hurt. You know, they kind of had him on the ropes a little bit at the beginning of that game, and then it kind of gets away a little bit. It's disappointing. But again, like, the cards were stacked against Edmonton in this game in regards to the situation of the schedule. Obviously, the Golden Knights have every damn card thrown all over the ground against them. So it's not like this is a situation where, the Golden Knights can sit here and say, well, we let one get away. I'm not sure I would say that, but in this situation, back-to-back for Edmonton, 3 and 4 nights. Teams that had played the third game in 4 nights were 0 and 9 before today. They're now 1 and 9. And Edmonton sticking around for the rest of the weekend to have a little team bonding thing, something they haven't been able to do for a while. They were excited to stay in Vegas. This was an opportunity. And to me, they came out and Edmonton looked every bit of what you expected a team that's not fully in the game to look like. And Golden Knights couldn't do enough on it. Like, yes, they get the goal. Nick Waugh, good game for him. I thought Peyton Krebs was better. There's still red flags in regarding Peyton Krebs' game. And like there's partly a red flag in like his effort seems to be so damn good that it makes you wonder if that means everyone else's effort isn't that good. Why is the 20-year-old's effort on another level across the rest? But that being said, like Peyton Krebs simply isn't strong enough at this moment to do some of the things he needs to do. He had one opportunity where he brings the puck into the offensive zone all by himself, has one guy on his back, clearly has more speed to get around him, and simply just gets shoved off the puck into the boards and loses it, and it blows the entire thing. Where if he has the opportunity to kind of pin back, hold on to that thing and be able to bring other guys into the rush, maybe you have an opportunity to set something up and make something happen. Now, when he has time on the puck and no one's pushing him off of him, he's doing some really good things. So there's no way, in my opinion, Peyton Krebs needs to come out of this lineup. I think you just let him work through it, let him learn about what situations he needs to get stronger in and what situations he needs to back out of. That was a situation he needed to back out of. Then there's Jonathan Marchessault, who, for whatever reason, despite having a pretty damn good shot, especially off the rush, turns around every single time he gets into the offensive zone. Like every single time. I don't understand it. He's flying down the right-hand side, usually. Sometimes it is on the other side, but for the most part, it's flying down that right-hand side. I can remember it 2 times directly in front of me to the goal to the right, so I guess that would be Vegas shooting in the second period. And he just button hooks back out. And every single time. And actually, there's a bunch of spots on the left-hand side and in the third and first period as well. Like, I need this guy shooting. I need you to be the goal scorer. This is a team that right now needs $5 million Jonathan Marchessault to be scoring goals at a 30 goal a season clip here. He probably needs to be putting up 40 goals a season clip right now while they're all out. Like Pietrangelo's doing everything he can. Today was an uphill climb for him because he's out there for literally half the game, 29 and change. Came up like 15 or 12 seconds or whatever it was short of the Golden Knights record, which of course was set in that 15 skater game that blew the President's Trophy last season and forced the Golden Knights to have to go on the road, which I think ended up being a blessing in disguise against Colorado. Nonetheless, they played 15 skaters and they end up having Theodore play a ridiculous amount in that game. This one, Pietrangelo played basically just as much, and they only played with 5 skaters for half the game as opposed to all of it. They were really leaning on those two to try to get themselves some offense, that being Theodore and Pietrangelo, and it did not come. And again, to me, it's because the style of offense is chuck and pray. And there's got to be some sort of, better, I don't know there's got to be some rhyming term or something that I'm not coming up with at the moment. But like, you have to be better than that. You can't simply just get it out to the point, flip it on goal and hope, because guess what? Your guys aren't that good in front of the goal. Some of them have the ability to do it, but they also get pushed out of there quite a bit. By the way, this Periscope is brought to you by Conler & Associates CPAs. Have questions about unemployment, gambling tax, crypto gains, what to do with all your crypto going through the roof here, Bitcoin, Ethereum, going nuts. Your NFTs are making you tons of money. You're buying digital chickens. Give Conler & Associates a call. Tell them SinBin sent you, and they'll answer all your questions for you. They'll give you a free consultation if you tell them it's SinBin sent you. Make sure if you need a CPA, you're going to conlercpa.com. That's Conler with a K, CPA.com, and tell them SinBin sent you. They will hook you up. They are fantastic. They are diehard Golden Knights fans over there. And trust me, Gary is just as angry about the power play as all of you are. Gary's probably on this, watching this, yelling at me right now. Stop it. Yell at the power play more. And I don't blame him. I really don't blame him. It just doesn't seem like there's a plan. There is no plan. I don't understand why this far later there's still not a plan. Like, the entry has a plan. They do the drop pass. They use that entry. It's actually decent. I wouldn't say it's great. I certainly wouldn't say it's good enough to be like, well, let's not blow this whole thing up. Like, it's not like they're entering at a 90% clip and you're like, well, we got to stick with that part. We'll figure out the end zone. No, it's not that good. So I wouldn't mind a complete redesign of the entry system too. But the entry hasn't been the problem. The problem is when they get in zone. Win, draw, lose, draw, doesn't matter. The second they get in the zone, they don't know what they're trying to do. There's no focal point of what they're trying to do. And what it leads to is stagnation, which is basically just the five guys standing exactly where they want to stand and where they've always stood, nothing happening, and no ever opportunities for cross-ice passes because stick lanes aren't, or passing lanes aren't there because sticks are in the passing lanes because they know where the puck's going next, around the umbrella, around the umbrella. You end up just ripping a shot from the point, and it usually doesn't go in because there's 4, 5, 6 bodies in the way, 4 on the other team, and then you're 2 or 3 in front of the goal at that point, and then there's a big goalie trying to stop it, who they're pretty good, these goalies nowadays. So I just don't understand where that comes from. One of the times late in the game, the Golden Knights got the power play. I'm assuming you guys couldn't see it on the broadcast because the broadcast shit itself, but it was the unit that was the supposed mishmash unit, the supposed bad unit. The reason I would give them a pass, because they are missing 4 power play guys. That unit comes in. Nolan Patrick puts it to Kolizar underneath the goal. He skates from one side underneath the goal to the other side underneath the goal. And then there's an activation off the half wall. I'm trying to think who it was now. I tweeted who it was. I can't remember who it was. It may be Dodonov. It might have been Janmark. I don't know. Whoever it was. He activates off the half wall, gets in behind the guy, little feathered pass from Kolizar, and you got a chance, really good chance, shot on goal. It's stopped, goes out of play. But, like, that's the type of thing. You want movement. You want movement on the puck and off the puck. It was Coughlin. You're right. Thanks, Richard. It's a situation where, like, they just don't seem to have that go-to guy, even though they set their power play up as if they have it. There's no team shading your power play towards Alec Martinez. And when Alec Martinez isn't there, they're definitely not shading it towards Marchessault on that board or Smith. And then you have Dodonov, who's standing in the middle of it, who has had some success in his career there, but the Golden Knights don't know how to use that spot. They never have. Like, throughout 4 years, this is 5 years of their history, they've really never used that high bumper slot as a huge option to move the puck and make things happen. They usually skip that when they're trying to do it. Or what they've actually been best at in the history of their power play is getting shots off and then winning some of the battles in tight because you have extra players. That is not what they're doing anymore. What they're doing now is getting it up to the top and hoping that Pietrangelo or Theodore can find a lane that does not exist. 0-9, 0-15, I think it was, or 16 or something like that against Montreal. It was a nightmare. Most of last season, it just got worse and worse and worse into the playoffs. Like, it's a mess. And to be completely honest, I'm not going to blame it all on the 4 guys missing. Would it be better maybe if they had Pacioretty and Stone? Sure, but they also have had them, and it still is awful. So, like, I'm not going off the deep end talking about that because they've been here and they didn't score against Montreal. And, like, I don't think Dodonov's going to change everything. I don't think Patrick's going to change anything. Let me talk about him. So Nolan Patrick scores the goal today. And, obviously, like, hell yeah, we'll take that all day. It's kind of a play off the draw. He wins the draw, gets back out there. They have the opportunity, little flick shot wrist shot from the point. They end up, he gets a stick on it, gets through the goalie. Good goal. Like, you'll take that. But, like, to me, I want to see more out of this player, that I'm expecting these types of opportunities more and more. Like, if that one gets stopped, which it very well might on the next one, because let's be honest, you're tipping it on goal, but you don't necessarily know where that one's exactly going to go. He didn't aim that thing to go perfectly in between the 5-hole there. Like, that is the plan. They are very good at it, but he didn't know that the 5-hole was going to be open, that the goalie was going to be sliding open, and that it's there. So to me, if that is stopped, if it's 3 inches to the left, and it banks off his pad and goes to the corner, we sit here saying, well, where's Nolan Patrick again today? And to me, whenever he's been out there, he's not doing anything to drive offense. Sorry. Like, he's not the guy driving offense. To me, Dadonov, not driving offense. Matthias Janmark, not driving offense. You're getting a little bit of it out of Nick Waugh, and there was one shift today, I still remember it clearly, first period, where Nick Waugh is just like dominant. Like, the dude is getting his inner McDavid on, amazing, and no one's there to help him at all. Like, Stevenson's not going to drive offense for you. Yes, he can have some opportunities with his speed. Great play to negate the icing that leads to the power play that gives them an opportunity. But it's like, this is the type of thing that, for me, I need more guys driving offense. And if Peyton Krebs is the only guy that's going to drive offense, they're never going to get anything from their middle 6. And the bottom 6 doesn't have a guy who can act, or bottom line doesn't have an opportunity of a guy who can do it. So I don't know what you're actually expecting out of that. I think it's time. Like, I'm there. I think you've got to take Marchessault off of the misfit line. And it's not his fault. It's not Smith's fault. It's not Carlson's fault. I think they've been good. I think they were good enough today. I think they were definitely good enough in the previous game. All of it. It's fine. Like, it's good. It's what we need. It's what, that's a good line. But the problem is, beneath it, you have 9 players that I don't think there's any combination. You can roll the dice 100 times with those 9 players, and they're never coming up. Like, I seriously feel like you would hand me 9 dice and say, roll all 9 of these, and if you ever get all of the same number, a Yahtzee, you win. I'm going to roll these dice all day long and never get the same number, because that's really effing hard. That's kind of what I feel like with this group of 9. So to me, you're going to have to find someone to take out of that 9 and put in to that role with Carlson and Smith. I think that player can be not even one of the better offensive options. Like, it doesn't have to be Nick Waugh. It doesn't have to be Peyton Krebs, who were the better offensive driving guys today. It doesn't have to be Dadonov, who's actually shown a little bit in his time driving some offense. I think more likely it should probably be Janmark. He makes the most sense to me. He's going to be, he has enough scoring touch that he can find some goals if you put him in situations to score them. He will tap in the tap-ins. That's what they need. And really, to me, Marchessault has not been a trigger man on that line this entire season. So losing him off that line doesn't really kill it, I don't think. And I think, to me, and I've said this for a long time, I think that Carlson and Smith together are so damn good, and we've seen it on the penalty kill. You could basically throw anyone else next to them. They'll still be your best defensive line, and they'll probably be pretty darn good offensively when they have extended zone time, because they're very good at knowing where each other are. The third guy, I think, can fit in, whoever it happens to be. That will then maybe allow Marchessault to possibly play with Krebs or play with Waugh, and maybe you start generating a little bit more. Maybe that's Stevenson, Krebs, and Marchessault, or something of that sort. Dadonov can potentially be in there with Marchessault. I think there's different options, and to me, yes, they got 3 goals today, but I don't think that's how you're going to be able to generate 3 goals. And then again, we get basically hot goalie talk. He didn't go completely into that today, but man, oh man. If you have questions, go ahead and put them in the chat bar over there. You have to do it on Facebook or YouTube. You can't chat on Twitter anymore. Don't know why, but yeah, we'll start getting there. Let me turn this little thing off so we can see these. Bottom 6 needs a mix-up. Any other players that are possible for trade, a good 3rd or 4th liner. So, like, I think there are some guys out there, but the problem that I have is anybody that's going to make a legitimate difference. Like, unless you go down the road of trying to find another reclamation project. And I know the Russian kid from New York is one that always comes up. I can't remember how to pronounce his name. Like, if you go that route, okay, but now you're probably plugging in another guy that's going to have a hard time doing much of anything down your lineup as well. If you make any move that actually will bring in, a usable high-end player like these two names here, Hurdle or Eichel. Obviously, Eichel is a tough one because he's hurt and he wouldn't be able to play at all. But if you bring in, say, Hurdle, yes, Hurdle will help right now. Hurdle is probably not available to the Golden Knights anyway because they're 5-0 and the Golden Knights are 1-3, and they're probably not going to be willing to make that move anyway. However, if you were to bring in a Hurdle or a Hurdle equivalent or anyone of that sort, you are basically putting a Band-Aid on a problem that has been a consistent problem for years and years now, and that is your salary cap. In the event that they add money, be it Hurdle, be it someone else, whoever it happens to be, they're going to have to take that money off as everyone else gets healthy. Max Pacioretty is out for 6 weeks. He's going to play this regular season. Mark Stone is somewhere between day to day and week to week, still trying to figure out what the hell that means, but I don't think that means his season is over. So that money is coming back. I don't know what's going on with Martinez, but I would assume he's coming back. Tuck is coming back in February or maybe January or maybe March, but he's coming back. So if you make another move, you are basically, handicapping might not be the right word. You're putting yourself in a position where you're going to be at the mercy of someone else taking cap off your hands once you get further down in this season. And you're probably going to have to trade an asset like a Smith or a Dadonov, or a Marchessault, or a Theodore, or a Tuck, or somebody of that sort, or heck, maybe even the guy you add, and you're doing it at a significantly reduced price than what you paid to get the new player because you are dealing out of a place of no strength, massive weakness in that everyone knows that player must get off your roster. To be healthy, you must move $5 million. And I know people are going to bring up last year and the whole Kucherov thing. I don't think the Golden Knights have a player that's out for the season right now. So I don't think they're going to be able to make that move either. They're not going to be able to play the Kucherov game where they have an injury through the entire thing. I heard people talk about that with Eichel. Doesn't make a lot of sense to me that Eichel's going to not play hockey for 19 months and then jump into a playoff series with a team he's never played on, in a system he's never played in, and suddenly be the Jack Eichel that everyone expects. I just don't see it. Over under 50% VGK makes the playoffs. I will still go over. I had it at about 60 in the last podcast. I think I'm still around there. The reason it's as low as 60, and I actually feel like it should be a little bit higher, is because I think that what they've said about Stone, I'm a little concerned. I think it might be longer than even Pacioretty's. That's kind of the information that I was getting. And then to have it come out and be a little bit different when they announced it, it almost seemed like a way to quell some of the injury fears as opposed to saying, well, it's worse than Pacioretty's. And we know the timeline on Pacioretty's, which they didn't want getting out in the first place. If it's that long, getting to a point per game during that time is going to be tough. We know that that's going to be tough. They've already proven that. They've played 3 home games and they're 1-3 on the season. The road game was a complete disaster. And now the next 2 road games coming up are really challenging. Then there's an East Coast swing, which is probably not going to be all that easy, even though 3 of the teams in there aren't playing all that well or aren't that good. Ottawa, Detroit, and Montreal. But it's not going to be easy. If it's 25, 30, 40 games without a fully healthy roster, and that's before you even talk about Tuck, they're going to have a hard time treading water just getting to that point per game mark. However, if they stay close, then you have to figure, okay, once you're fully healthy outside of that, Olympic break, in theory, they should have no problem, garnering 75 to 80% of the points at that point, especially with a lot of the games against what will be at the time downtrodden Pacific Division teams. That's why I'm still fairly bullish on the fact that they can make the playoffs. But they're going to have to win some of these games. Like while Pacioretty and Stone are out, if Martinez is out a while, if Whitecloud is out a while, we know Tuck is out a while. Like, you're going to have to find a way to get some of these games. And when a team comes in with an opportunity that's presented to you where they play like shit in the first period, that being Edmonton today, and you still cannot jump on them, they clearly run out of gas midway through the third period, and you still hand them the game-winning goal, that's going to be a problem. The issue of how they're defending, it's bad. And now, look at what's about to happen. If Martinez is not going to play, they said that Miromanov is the clear next man up. Now, I do think part of that has to do with some of the injuries. From what I understand, both Zach Hayes and Jake Bischoff are injured in the AHL. Those would probably be better options at this point. Now, that does not mean they are better players than Daniil Miromanov. They are probably not. They certainly do not have the ceiling of Daniil Miromanov. But here's the problem. If they place Daniil Miromanov into the game, he becomes the most offensive of their offensive defensemen. And then they have 4 other offensive defensemen in the lineup. Coghlan, Theodore, Pietrangelo. That's a lot. Coghlan, Theodore, Pietrangelo, Haig, Miromanov. They have 1 defense-first player. Now, Pietrangelo can take a lot of that load, but 1 defensive defenseman, that's not enough, especially for a team that's struggling to defend and turning the puck over in their own zone and turning the puck over in the neutral zone and handing breakaways left and right. You're going to put your goalie, up against it again, and they're going to struggle. So to me, as much as I would love to see Daniil Miromanov, and I'm excited to see him, and I love for him to prove me wrong that I didn't think he was going to play in the NHL this season. And I still look at what it's taking to get him here, but good for him. He put himself in the position to play. He deserves the opportunity to play. The problem is when they keep losing players that are defensive defensemen, Martinez goes out, Whitecloud goes out, it's hard to believe that you're going to fill it in with a forward acting as a defenseman. Now, I think down the road, this kid's going to be a legitimate player. I'm excited about Daniil Miromanov. I just don't know that this is the moment that makes sense for him to go in. 5 offensive defensemen on a team that's struggling to defend. Concerning to me. It's not Daniil Miromanov's fault. Daniil deserves a chance to get into the game. Maybe he helps them offensively. I don't know how they're going to defend. And he's it's not fair on him. He's a forward shifting into defense. He's not going to be great at it. Now you throw him in the NHL and you throw him probably with an offensive defenseman line mate. Does he play with Coghlan? I don't know. It's a mess. Would you break? Oh, and I already talked about would I break up the Misfits. I was trying to click on this question. Is it just me or is attendance down? Yeah, it's clearly down. I think there's a lot of mitigating factors as to why that is. I think COVID certainly is a part of it. The mask mandate and all of that going on, and then the fact that nobody really follows the mask mandate, or however you want to look at that. I'm not going to get too deeply into that because I don't give a shit, but I know a lot of people do. I don't blame anybody who does. It's fine. You do you. I'll do me. It's fine. But I do think a lot of the things that have happened with this organization are starting to catch up. And I do believe that knowing what you're probably going to get going to some of these games at this moment is you're not getting the elite Golden Knights. You're not getting a team is going to go out there and dominate. And it would be weird if they don't dominate a game. That's not what you're getting. So you're getting something much different. And so you're seeing late arriving crowds, early leaving crowds, not quite the same, crowds. I was listening just quickly on my way over, and there were 2 callers on Ryan Wallace in the postgame show that were saying that they didn't think that the cheers were loud enough for Leonard. I mean, I think they're not going to be until he starts winning games and doing things and, finding ways to dig them out of holes. it was there at the end of the 5-on-3, and he dug them out of that hole. He's going to have to earn them even more so than anyone else before because he's following in the shoes of an absolute legend who was disgraced on the way out. Not Robin Lehner's fault, but there's going to be a massive climb to get this fan base to truly latch on to this guy the way that they did Fleury. It's just going to be challenging. So to me, yeah, you're going to see a little less than you're going to see attendance down. To me, like, those of you who are watching this, and there's over 100 of you right now watching this live at 11:16 p.m. on a Friday night, take advantage of this. Like, this is the moment to get lower level tickets for cheap. Like, I saw some for $50 or $60. Like, take advantage of this. Be the diehard fan. Go in there and help this fan base continue to get going in the right direction. Like, I understand why everyone's frustrated. I get it. I'm there too. Like, I get that. But there are a lot of people that haven't been to games because they're not affordable. And I understood that forever. It was not for a long time. But now it's pretty close to affordable, especially if you're willing to go down to the strip and wait until 10 minutes before puck drop. Now, I know you want to be in there for the show. I don't blame you. It's fine. But you can get in cheaply. Like, you absolutely can get in cheaply at this moment. Take advantage of it. I know you're diehard fans watching this late at night. Take advantage of it, or watching this on the replay or whatever. All right, in your opinion, what 3 things do you think the Golden Knights need to do to start the flame that's not lit? Well, number 1 would be get healthy. I don't know if that's actually possible, but that would be number 1. Stop losing another player for this, like, foreseeable future every goddamn game. Like, would have been better if they just forfeited the last 3, but that's not, obviously that's not real life. I think number 1 is you're probably going to have to split up the misfits. I think you're going to have to find a way to generate more offense down your lineup. And Marchessault moving off that line is the best option to me. And then I guess like the best thing they can do is clean up the bullshit. Like, you can't turn the puck over in the neutral zone 7 times a game, 10 times a game, whatever it happens to be. I don't have the actual number. It's a lot. It's too many. And you really can't do it when you just tied it and the crowd's coming back and you got a tired team going against you. Like, that pass from Hague is unacceptable. Like, I thought Nick Hague played very well today, but that pass is unacceptable. And then the recovery back check is unacceptable. You got to be better than that. And I know it's early in the season. I know that these problems do, pop up from time to time, but I don't know. This is the question about Eichel and Tampa. Again, like, Eichel wants to play. Eichel wants to go to the Olympics. He wants to play. He doesn't want to sit out the entire season. He missed a good chunk of the end of last season. It was a shortened season. There's just no way that Jack Eichel is going to come in here and be fully himself after having not played for as long as he played. Like, I just don't see them going down that road. So I don't think they can play the Eichel or the Tampa Tampa's cap ridiculousness game with Eichel. Anything under first place of failure? I would say no. Making the playoffs is the bar right now. Like, they've got to find a way to get into the postseason. Like, that's all that really matters. I know we're 4 games into the season, but like, that's all that matters. You have to get into the tournament, and then maybe you can be healthy enough once you're there to have your opportunity. I'm not worried about what the path is or what they have to go through or how many road games they have to go through. I don't really care. Doesn't really make a difference to me. Tampa just won as the 3 seed. Kucherov was the name that for whatever reason couldn't pop into my head there. That's all I care about. Missing the postseason would be a failure. Even despite the injuries, missing the postseason would be a failure. They absolutely must make the postseason, and I don't know what happens if they don't. Stanley in 6 years is pretty much over. I disagree. Like, I just flat out don't agree with that at all. I don't see any reason why they can't still get in this season. Thanks, Robert. Appreciate that. And then we'll do this one and then get out of here. Does the close games give you hope to win at least 50%? No. In regards to like how the games have looked and them being close, no, I don't particularly care whether they're close or not. It doesn't make a difference to me. You lose by 1 or you lose by 7. I don't really give a shit. You lost. I think there's massive underlying issues. I thought they cleaned up a little bit, one of them today. The chances were a little bit more kept to the outside against a much more dangerous team, but I thought you got a C- effort out of their opponent today. It's a good opponent. Don't get me wrong. They're good. They're better than I thought they were going to be, this Edmonton team. But that was not the elite Edmonton team that you could get the next time you see them. If they're rested and they're in a better spot, maybe you get an even better effort and maybe you do give up 14 high danger chances. They gave up 6 today. I'll take 6. 6 is what the Golden Knights want, and usually 6 is going to be fine. But this is an elite power play that they're playing against. They have one of the best players in the world who's not even the best player on the team, who happens to be the best player in the world. Like, this is a tough team to play against. You're probably going to give up goals. You got to be able to score them. They got 3. It wasn't enough. They needed 4, maybe even 5. I don't know that this roster is going to be able to do it. So do I think they can tread water and stay above 50% of the games? Do I think they're going to win 50% of the games? Absolutely not. If you tell me they're going to, I don't think they're going to win 50% of the games when both Stone and Pacioretty are out. However, can they get points in more than not? Maybe. I think that's still possible. So far, not so good. And they're both home games, which is a bit of a problem. But as a whole, like, there are things heading in the right direction. There are massive things to clean up, and we will probably be talking about them more on Sunday. And Sunday's task is a completely different animal than today. Generating offense is going to be very difficult on Sunday. I don't know how they're going to do it. I guess more flipping pucks in from the blue line and hoping for tips to go in. We'll see. Maybe it'll happen. It is going to happen from time to time. You are going to win some games like that, but today should have been one of them. You had 2 before they got any. And then the last thing, and it's the stat that I sent out earlier. The Golden Knights have led in 4 straight games. They have blown that lead in 4 straight games. They have gone behind in 3 straight games. Yes, they came back and beat Seattle, but man, they needed a puck that was kicked into the goal. They needed a goofy rule to save them in that game. I don't know what happens if they don't call that a goal, if they call that a kicking motion. Is this team 0-4? I don't know. In the first 4 seasons, the Golden Knights scored first 153 times. They went on to win 118 of the 153, 77%. They got points in another 10, making 84% of time that the Golden Knights score first, they at least get to overtime. They have not done it 3 consecutive games. 0-4-3. That's a massive problem. You can blame it on players missing. You can blame it on not having Fleury, which is a ridiculous thing to blame it on, which is why I barely even talked about Leonard today, because he's been good. He has not been the problem at all. What if he is the problem moving forward? Holy shit, then that's going to be a problem. But so far, he hasn't been. He's been good. They're blowing leads, and they're doing it because they're too loose with the puck in all 3 zones and massively not taking care of it enough in the defensive zone, coming out and going through the neutral zone. Like, that's the main problem. It's all turnovers, handing the other team opportunities, and the other teams are burying them. And this is not a goalie that you can allow 2-on-1s and breakaways against, because that's not his forte. That's not what he's best at. The Golden Knights went a full season and a half under Pete DeBoer where they basically never gave away 2-on-1s. Now, all of a sudden, it's everywhere. All the time. It's the Oprah gift. You have one. You have one. Like, that's what's happening. It's got to stop. It has to stop. Thanks again to Conler & Associates for sponsoring this Periscope. Go to conlercpa.com and get a free consultation if SinBin sent you. If you need any tax help or any tax questions, or even if you just want to call them and tell them thank you for sponsoring the show, that would mean a lot to me, and I know it will mean a lot to the fine people at Conler. Golden Knights are 1-3. I do not plan on doing one of these on Sunday, but maybe the game will lead to it. I certainly will do it at least in one of the 2 back-to-backs, maybe both of them. And then goalie interference coming up on Thursday again with Mike. Mike's been pretty fiery in text with me over what's going on, so I would imagine we're going to get some more fire from him just like we did. That's it. See you later. Good night. Hopefully they stop losing, because Sunday is going to be real brutal if they can't score. And if they fall to 1-4, that's a climb just to get back to even. If you go to 1-4, you've got to win 3 games out of 3 just to get back to a point per game. Like, that's a climb when you're this banged up. Like, this hole is starting to be dug. They've got to stop it now. And it starts with Sunday. They got to play their best game of the season. They played their best game today. It wasn't